Hi everybody, this is Module 2. So we are about to start a new section of the content. Module 1 was about the basics of PHP. So PHP is for creating custom websites. Module 2 is about using the database, bringing in the database component of a web app. So just to remind you, I'm going to show you these PowerPoint slides again. Just quickly here. What we just did in Module 1 was we took what we knew about web pages and we added to that the ability for us to, for the server to run scripts to customize the pages that are being sent back. And so far those customizations have just meant things like random numbers to show slot machine fruit or to show dice. And then they were also expanded to include basic output from processing. So a user would fill in a form here, send the input into the server makes that input available to the script that runs, and the script computes something and then gives the response back. So kind of limited in terms of the customization of the page that we can do for the user. Some people refer to, you'll occasionally see PHP referred to as making a page dynamic. I don't like that terminology. I think when you think dynamic, you think of a page that moves and responds as the user mouses across it, and as the user types things, it instantly responds. That's what JavaScript does. So I would say the correct way to put it is that PHP will create custom web pages for each user, and JavaScript will make those pages dynamic. What we're going to add now is the database. So the database also lives on the server, and we're going to start slow. We're just going to introduce in the first two lessons the MySQL database, which is a really common one that's used on servers all over the world. We're going to learn how to use it, and then by lesson 3 this week, we are going to look at how to get PHP to interact with that database automatically. So we're going to start on the first two lessons with some reviewing or learning some basic SQL, and then getting our PHP script to connect to the database automatically. We're also going to look at phpMyAdmin, which is the database management system that we're going to use. Okay, so that's what we're doing. I want to point out to you guys, that we are in a new module here, Module 2 on databases. You have the guide. The extra notes, don't worry about them. We'll look at those in the next lesson. And there's some code that we're not going to worry about just yet either. And the exercises are there too. So here is the guide. Now there is a good MySQL section on this. We're just going to look at some SQL today, and it says here, in this lesson, sorry, and it says here SQL review. The reason why it says SQL review is because usually when we got to this point in previous versions of this course, you would already have seen a lot of this stuff in your database course. So many of you are taking a databases course, I think, currently with this one. I'll check that with you guys when we're live. And this is just some basic stuff. We don't go that far with databases in this course, so the hope was that this would be review. Now we're introducing this earlier this year than we have in the past, so I'm not sure if it's going to be review or not, but hopefully some of it will be, and it will be definitely reinforced by your database course, which is using SQL as well. So we're going to use W3 Schools for this, and I'm going to go there right now. So if we go over into resources, you can go to W3 Schools, like this, and open it. And if you scroll down, there's a Learn SQL right here. And this is one of my favorite parts of W3 Schools, which is if you hit, where is it? Try it yourself. It takes you to this screen. And what W3 Schools does for you here is it, without you having to create and manage a database yourself, it gives you access to a database. It's a database it's a classic learning database called the Northwinds database. Northwinds, here I'll type that for you. Northwinds is the name of the database. You can actually find it and get it and put it into your own database system and play with it. But they've already preloaded it for you, and every person who comes here gets their own personal copy, which you can then delete things from and change things and so on. And eventually, when you want to, you can press the restore button and it'll restore your private copy of the database back to the way that it was before. So SQL, so let's go through some terminology. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. SQL is a language, one of the, I guess, 3 languages that we're introducing in this course. It's a 4th generation language. It's a language that is declarative. You use Structured Query Language to declare what you want done, but not how you want it done. So you don't have to write any loops in SQL to go and get data from a table or anything like that. You use SQL to tell the database, I want you to do the following thing, and the database figures out the most optimal way to do it. So that interacts with some other code. So it's kind of a higher level of language. So if you imagine your 1st generation languages were your machine code, just 1s and 0s, where you have to throw dip switches on an actual machine. 2nd generation languages would have been assembly language, where it's a little bit more readable to a human being. 3rd generation are high-level languages like Java and PHP and JavaScript, which are made for human beings and require heavy translation. And then there are these 4th generation languages, which are purely declarative. MySQL is, so SQL is the language. MySQL is a relational database management system, a DBMS, database management system, that implements SQL as its language. There are a lot of other database management systems that also implement SQL. Okay, so SQL and MySQL are separate. The My apparently stands for the inventor, the original programmer of MySQL, I believe had a daughter named Maya. So that's where the My comes from, in case you're curious. So what is a relational database? A relational database is a set of tables and relations. We won't be using relations that much in this course, but we will be using, most of the time we'll be using a single table. So here's what that looks like. Oops, wrong one. Where are we? We're over here. So if I click on one of these tables here, there's the customer table. This is what a table looks like. A table has records. The rows are records. So this is one customer record, and the columns are the features or the attributes, or the fields. Sorry, that's the term I'm looking for. Often referred to as fields in the database. So a row is like an object, and the columns are like the instance variables of an object, if you want to look at it that way. The columns have types associated with them, and there's 4 types that we're specifically going to be using. And then we're going to use SQL. We're actually really only going to use 4 SQL commands in this course. So there are SQL commands to create databases, to create and delete tables and modify tables. Anything you can do through a database management system, you can do through the SQL language. But we're going to use MySQL to set up our databases and our tables and so on and configure them. And then we'll just be using commands that operate on the rows of tables. So we're going to look at select, insert, delete, and update. Those are the 4 commands that we're going to use in this course. Okay, let's go back here. Yeah, so I think we're just gonna, that's all we're doing here. Yeah, we're just gonna introduce these 4 different commands. So let's take a look here. This is a select command. If I run this command, the format of the select command is select and then a list of columns from and then the table name. I don't know why they put brackets around it there. But if I run that, it selects everything from the customers table. If I choose a different table over here, employees, run SQL, now it's showing me all the columns of the employees table. So the star means all the columns. But if I just want their names, I can say first name, last name, like that. So I'm using the column headings here, and now it's returning all the employees, but just the first and the last name. Let's go back to the full employees table here. What else can I do? Let's go to products. Let's use the products table because this has some nice numeric data for prices. So here's the product. You've got the name. You've got the ID of the product, the name. These are relational keys. These are keys into other tables. So there's a suppliers table. So if you look up, if you want to know who is supplying the aniseed syrup, you can see it's supplier ID 1. You go into the supplier ID 1 is this company called Exotic Liquid. So that's who's providing that. That's why it's called a relational database, because you set up relations between the tables by adding columns that specify the IDs from different tables. So category ID as well, and the price is 18. So again, we're doing select star, select everything, all the columns from the products. So we can change that to be, just give me the product name, and how about the unit as well. So these two columns. But now I want to limit the rows that I get. So I'm limiting the columns I get here, and now I want to limit the rows. I do that with a where clause. So I can say where price is less than 20. So that's going to go through every single row. This is the way to think about the where clause. It goes through every single row and checks to see if this Boolean condition here is true. So it's true for row 1, so row 1 will be part of the result. It's false for row 4, so row 4 will not be part of the result. So when I run this, I get just the columns I asked for, and only the ones where the price was less than 20. I can use an and on here as well. So I can say I want prices between 15 and 20. And you see it's telling me how many records it returned as well. Records, remember, are rows. So I get fewer records when I do that. And if I want to see the prices in there, I have to include that over here. So now I'm getting the price as well, so I can double check to make sure that I'm getting the prices that I wanted. Okay, so that's the select statement. So it lets you pull things out of the database. Oh, you've also got a few other things. You can do an order by. So I can say order by price, like that. And now it will sort them from low to high. And if I say DESC, that means descending. Now it's going to sort them from high to low. And finally, if I wanted to limit my query to just getting maybe the most expensive product in this range, I can go limit 1, like that. There we go. It just gives me the 1. If I want the top 5 products, I can do that. And I can also remove the where clause here to say, okay, I want the 5 most expensive products. And oops, I accidentally, did you see the error there? It says could not prepare statement. That means it couldn't compile this statement. No such table product, because I accidentally deleted the S from products. So there we go. So there's the 5 most expensive products in the Northwinds database. Okay, that's all we need to know about the select command. Let's look at insert. Oops, keep pressing the wrong thing. That's my, in case you're wondering what that is, that's my recording software that I'm using right now. So let's go back here. We'll do an insert. So let's go back to products. How about customers? Okay, let's do customers. So to insert, you go insert into, that's the standard way to do it, customers. And then you have to give a list of columns that you want to insert. And here you might need to know the some more details about how the table is put together. Some columns you have to specify, and some columns might have defaults that you don't have to specify. The one column here that I should not have to specify is customer ID. So this is what's called the primary key, and this is discussed down here. So every table should have one column, usually is going to have the word ID in the name of the column. That is the primary key. That is a column that is forced to be unique. So it should be impossible for me to insert another customer 1. So that column should be marked in the database as the primary key. And it's really important in every table to have a primary key so that you can identify single rows for deletion and update and so on. So I should not have to, and also you can set it up so that the ID number is assigned automatically. So right now our customer IDs go up to 91. So probably when I insert, it should automatically go in as 92. So I'm going to insert into customers, and then in brackets I need to put a list of column names, but I shouldn't have to do customer ID. So customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, country. Okay, and then I say values, like that, and then I put another bracket, and I have to put the same number of values as I put columns here. So the customer name is going to be Jane Doe. The contact name is going to be John Doe. The address is going to be I'm just going to be silly here. Here, Hamilton for the city, postal code L8M2G2. How about that? And country is going to be Canada. Okay, so hopefully that worked. I'm working without a net here, but when I hit run SQL, it should insert using all these values, the corresponding values for the column names, and I'm hoping that they've set up the ID so that I don't have to specify that. So if I'm going to copy this, by the way. Just did Control-C to copy it. Run SQL. Okay, you've made changes to the database. Rows affected 1. So let's go back and take a look at the database. And it should be, there it is. It went in as number 92. Okay, if I wanted to do the same thing, I can do the same thing, but also insert a customer ID. It doesn't matter what order you put the columns in here. So if I try to insert customer 92 again, that should fail. It could not execute statement due to a constraint failure. So unique constraint failed on customer ID. So customer IDs have to be unique, but I could put it as customer 99. And then if I go back to the customers table, right at the bottom, there's going to be another Jane Doe as number 99. Okay, so far so good. That's inserting. Oh yeah, string values have to be quoted. Oh, I should have really used single quotes there. I think I was using double quotes, which it accepted, but it's actually better practice. Well, double works too, but really it should be single quotes there. If you want to insert numeric stuff, you don't put single quotes around it. So let's do a product. So let's insert into products. It's going to be product name, supplier ID, category ID, unit, and price. So values for this are going to be, I don't know, T, since the first one sort of looks like it might be T. Supplier ID 1, category ID 1, unit 10 bags, and the price we'll put in as $22.50. Okay, so notice I've had to quote the string values, but the numeric values I put in without quotes. Hopefully this will work. Run SQL. Yep, seems to have worked. Go back to products, and there it is. There's my T product. Okay, so that's insert, and then we've got update and delete. So, whoops, did it again. That's my software. So let's do an update. Let's update the Chai's product here, whatever that is. And we're going to change the price. So I'm going to go update, set price equal to, maybe the price is going up. All right, let's say we're having a sale. Let's put the price down, $16.99. Okay, and then you need to put a where clause. If I don't put a where clause, it's going to update every single field. Actually, let's do that. That'll be fun. Run SQL. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put the name of the table. Update products, set price equals $16.99. This is a dangerous thing to do without a where clause. I did it again. No such table products. There we go. Rows affected 78. So I just set every single product to $16.99. So I probably broke the database, but that's okay. If you wanted to just do one row or a few rows, update products, set price equals, maybe we're giving away the first product for free. You can put a where clause. So if you know the ID, product ID equals 1, that's going to just set the first product. There we go, and we go back to products, and there it is. Okay, so again, with an update statement with a where clause, it's going to go through every row, find the rows that match, and change the thing that I asked it to change. I'm going to restore the database here to get it back to the way it was originally. So now we're back to the way things were, because I want to show you one more update. Update, I'm going to do set. I'm going to change two things. Update, I did it again. Products, set. We're going to do price equals price times 0.9. So you can do this. So the one thing I'm doing here is I'm doing a calculation using column names here. So I could say price equals price times 0.9. I'm putting a sale on. we've got a new supplier for these ones. Supplier ID equals, I don't know, 3. We'll say that there's a new supplier for a bunch of products that allows us to sell them more cheaply. So I'm going to change the supplier ID and the price. And it's where, how about supplier ID was equal to 1. So supplier 1, we've gotten rid of supplier 1. We've replaced them with supplier 3 that's giving us better prices. So that's allowing us to lower the price and change the supplier ID. So if you look at the first 3 here, we should be able to see the change. I guess, yeah, those are my only ones. So it's just going to change these 3. And these prices should go down to 90% of what they were. So 10 here should become 9. 18 should become whatever 18 times 0.9 is. 7 point, no. Whatever it is, about 16. I'm not going to try and do the math on the fly. I'm not having a good day for that. And it's where supplier ID equals 1. So we'll run it. Rows affected 3. That seems promising. Let's go back and look at the products. And sure enough, it's put the prices down and it's changed the supplier ID. Okay, so that's our update command. And then finally, there's a delete command. Careful with this one. So if I go delete from products, you better put a where clause here. What happens if you do this? Well, it deletes the whole table. So now my products table has nothing in it. That's fine. Instead of restoring it, I'll go play with the customers now. So be careful. Delete from customers where, let's see. Let's get rid of all our UK customers. I can say that because I was born in the UK, so I'm not picking on anybody else. I'm picking on my own country here. We're tired of dealing with the UK. Maybe it's Brexit. Maybe we're annoyed at Brexit, or Brexit has made it too expensive to deal with the UK. So we're going to get rid of all our UK customers. Where country equals, and this is a string, so we need to put UK in quotation marks here. So I'm deleting all my UK customers. Run. 7 rows affected. Let's go back and take a look. You should see no UK customers in here. Bye-bye UK. Okay, I think that's everything. That's all I wanted to tell you. There are some exercises right now just to, if you're comfortable with all this stuff, you know, that's great. Like maybe you've already covered it in your database course, or maybe you're comfortable with it from elsewhere. But there are some exercises that you can try. So let's take a look at those. Well, actually, maybe I'll find them through here just to show you where they are. So if we go into modules, module 2 here has the exercises. And these are all using the Northwinds database in W3 Schools. Here they are. It's just, I just want you to write some select, insert, update, and delete queries to accomplish these tasks. So do it in the Try It Yourself windows in the W3 Schools tutorial section. Yeah, that's it says here it's the Northwind database, maybe not Northwinds. Maybe I was misremembering that. Write these queries, store them in a text file when you get them correct. So play with them until they seem to be working correctly. Then store them in a text file. And when you're done that, you can go into the solutions. So if we go back to modules here, there's a solution zip file here, which you can download that has the solutions to all of those. There may be more than one way to do something, so your query might still work even if it doesn't quite match mine. But give those a try and then move on to part 2. In part 2, we're going to look at our own database management system, PHP MyAdmin, where we're going to be able to create our own databases and our own tables and so on. See you in that video.